guys, sorry I am a little bit late. I said 5 minutes, it was like 5-ish. I had a crazy busy morning and I hadn't gotten to the grocery store to get groceries because it snowed here yesterday, like snowed, like 4 inches of snow, and Tucson is not equipped for that. We have no, I can't even think of what they're called. No salt trucks, no, it just came and left again. You know, the big shovel trucks. They don't have any of that, and so like the roads were a mess and people were pulling over, which is funny because that's what we do during monsoons. When it rains really, really, really hard, we pull over to the side of the road because you can't see. But they were pulling over in the snow, and I just wanted to say, guys, it's not gonna stop. Like, it's not gonna help anything. But, so anyway, I had to do like double time this morning, running all around. So today we are making teriyaki meatballs with brown rice. We are making a turkey taco skillet, and we are making breakfast fried rice. And dessert. They are the best cookies ever, and I'm not gonna say they're easy because it requires a little bit of work with the food processor. And then there's a couple steps, but they are so worth it. And I wish that I could like triple the batch when I made it, but I don't have room in my freezer. So, all right, so we're gonna start. I'm gonna start with the teriyaki meatballs because I'm gonna put them in the Instant Pot, and then we can make the other recipes while they're going. And I've already made the brown rice for the fried rice, and I've already made the bacon for the brown rice. I thought that was easier than, you guys don't need to sit here and watch me wait for the Instant Pot. All right, so the meatballs. Ground turkey. I'm trying to keep everything cold in my fridge. So first you just have to mix the meatballs. I'm gonna do that. I need another. So I think I have everything out today. There is a very good chance that I'm missing something. Just because it is so, like, I was so backwards. And then my husband came in, like, as I'm getting ready to push play, or record, and he was like, can I make a piece of pizza quick? Like, yes. Can you hurry up, please? Half cup chopped green onions. These are perfect for meal prep because you can make the brown rice right in the pot if you have the Instant Pot. And you can kind of pair them with anything. You don't have, like, I put them with brown rice and then usually like some kind of a green vegetable. I don't know why, they're just, that's what we eat. So usually asparagus or broccoli. And you can pre-make your meal prep, and they look pretty in your meal prep bowls too, in your little containers, because they're all uniform, and brown rice I think makes it look so official for like meal prepping. So we love them, and they're super easy to make. You do need the egg bite molds if you're going to make them in the Instant Pot. And actually, I have a Swedish meatballs recipe that does not use them. So technically you don't have to. It's just so much easier. But you could saute them and brown them. It's just a little bit hard to keep them together, which is why after that beef stroganoff recipe, I was like, oh, I can use the silicone egg bite molds. And so that was super exciting. It's green onions off my hands. So 2 pounds turkey. These are usually like 1.5 pounds each, and I just figured I would use that. So we might be a little light on turkey and a lot of other stuff. Or you know what I think I'm gonna do? I think I'm gonna pull the other thing of turkey that I have out and just add a little bit to this, because we're just gonna use that for that taco skillet. And so I'll just divide up the stuff that I have. Because the taco skillet is pretty forgiving. This isn't super forgiving. Because you have to add the other stuff into it. for dinner. And so this morning I went to go make banana pancakes with like just the banana and the egg. And I was gonna make 2 batches, and we only had 1 egg. But I made them, I just used 2 bananas and 1 egg, and they were like super fluffy, like really thick and fluffy. So I don't know, we might end up doing that again. 1 tablespoon of garlic. I love this jar of garlic, but it stinks the whole, and I love garlic. It makes the whole kitchen stink. Oh, you know what, actually it's a tablespoon. So I'll just put in 2 more teaspoons. 1 teaspoon ginger. I'm gonna use this because it's what the dry ginger, because it's what the recipe calls for. But I got it in a squeeze bottle at the store, and it is life-changing. It's just as life-changing as the frozen diced vegetables. I think I mentioned them last week. I'm using them this week because like I didn't have time to cut all of them, and so I just thought, well, it's a perfect reason to use it. But they were on sale for 88 cents at the store, and so I ended up getting like, I don't know, 10 or 15 bags. And they're so nice to have on hand. And this time I found green pepper, which was very exciting too, because they have a pepper and onion blend, but sometimes you don't want the onions, so I totally pick out the peppers. So those are super helpful. 1 teaspoon. This is tamari, which is, it's just like soy sauce, but it has a much better flavor, tamari does. I know a lot of recipes call for like aminos, like coconut aminos, and they're good, I like them, but tamari has like the best flavor. So I haven't bought soy sauce in probably 15 years. And then I've got my measuring cups. Leave it on the counter for now. Turkey, eggs, garlic, brown ginger. All right. The absolute worst part about making any kind of meatball or meatloaf is sticking your hands in this. Okay. I knew I took them out somewhere. I do want to spray them though, because I want to wash the nastiness off my hands. And spray them, and then we'll divide them equally in between the 2 molds. Those molds are so fun. So you can do things like meatballs in them, which is really helpful. And I love that you can just set it in there. So I said like you can saute the meatballs and brown them, but I love that you can just set them in there in the egg white molds, and then you just leave them. I have trying to think of the other recipes that I have for the egg white molds. The egg bites, and then there are little mini meatloaves, mini lasagnas, and then I have another one coming out soon, probably in the next couple months, for mini lava cakes. So I have some lava cakes, Instant Pot lava cakes on my site, but I thought they'd be fun. And then lava cakes with peanut butter on the inside of them, because peanut butter makes everything better. All right. So I sprayed those. I'm actually gonna stick sorry, I want to make sure that I read it so that I have to keep coming over and washing my hands. I don't love the trivet that I have because I feel like it it's got like a bowl on the bottom, and I feel like it makes the food cook differently. Like it can't get, like the air can't get through, or maybe it's the water, the steam, I don't know. But I was just thinking, should I use my trivet, or I think I'm just gonna make one out of foil. So I'm just making something to go underneath the egg bite molds so that I can pull them out. Lynn, are you? Mini pizza bites. Oh, that would be so good. I could totally do that. You could use like meat as a base of them. That's I have it's called a pizza recipe. That's just meat with like pizza on the top. That would be really good. I could totally do that. What are you putting in your egg bites? Because that is it's a very controversial topic. What do you put in your egg bites? There was somebody that said that they put spinach in them, and then they turned green, and people loved them, but their kids wouldn't eat them. It was so funny. But I always like to ask what people are putting in them. So yeah, so that's perfect. And I'm gonna we need to put the rice in first. Yeah, I want to do that before I make all these meatballs. 1.5 cups of brown rice. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to use this trivet. If I can find it. I moved it when I moved all my other Instant Pot stuff. I'm not gonna. But I do need to know where. You know what I feel like? Who's that? I just had spray. Oh, here it is. That Muppet. Who's the Muppet? Like that cooks and is absolutely like flighty. That's who I feel like every time I do this. Because I'm not a like cooking, talking person. Green onion and red pepper, that sounds really good. Yeah, people rave about the spinach. They just don't like it because it turns to different colors. Okay, so yes. I'm like, how did I word that? So 1.5 of dry rice. That's super important. When a recipe for the Instant Pot calls for dry rice, it can totally change the entire recipe if you don't use dry rice. Like it doesn't work very well if you don't use dry rice. I've never stuck this on top of it. I've only done the metal one. We're gonna try it, see what happens. Okay, now we can do meatballs. I forgot to put my Facebook app, or open my Facebook app, so I have to walk all the way over to the phone to see that you guys are leaving comments, and to make sure that I can answer them and not leave them sitting there. So after we stick these in, there's a glaze that is really good that you can stick on top of them, and so we'll make that quick. And I don't even really make them into meatballs, I just kind of show them now, because the mold makes them into meatballs. Or little ovals, I guess. I just try to get it as even as I can. There's one over there that might be a little bit high. probably shouldn't have added any of the meat because now we have extra, I think. We'll see. Maybe that that package from Costco was closer to 2 pounds than I thought. Usually they're like 1.5 pounds, and that's perfect for recipes. It just makes a little bit extra. And I'd rather have extra meat than other stuff, or veggies, I guess. So I just want to make sure that these aren't too full because I'm going to be putting a foil lid, like a top on them. Yeah, we're totally going to have extra. That's okay. All right. Wash again. No, Linda just asked if the cook times are the same for brown rice and other rice, and no, the cook time is longer for brown rice than other rice. So if you do them, so the problem with it, with having recipes that have like brown rice and chicken, or brown rice and frozen chicken, and brown rice and whatever, is that that cook time has been perfectly timed for the rice, and so changing it up is going to change, so the rice might be done, but the meat won't be done. And so a lot of people ask, like I have burrito bowls where it's dry rice, dry beans, and frozen chicken. And people try to make it with regular chicken, with thawed chicken, and you can't because there's not enough time for the beans and the rice to cook. And then there's not enough water because the frozen chicken breast releases a bunch of liquid when it thaws. And so there's not enough liquid either. Hold on, so I can see the rest of your... It was too sticky. Yeah, it's so totally, so the stickiness could have been, if you cooked it in the Instant Pot, it could have been that it was too long, and so you overcooked that. So much foil. The Instant Pot is amazing and it's a lifesaver, but you cannot like just swap out recipes like you can when you're making it on the stove. I'm trying to stack these differently. And then I just fold the sling over, and then it's really easy to pull them out when it's done. And then 25 minutes. Sure. It's like I was just saying, it's hard to do that. It's hard to swap those ingredients because doing like a different kind of rice or dry versus frozen or dry versus cooked makes a huge difference in the cook time of the entire recipe. I've tried my so my burrito bowl recipe has that dry rice, dry beans, frozen chicken, like I said. And I sat here one day, I used so much chicken, like a Costco bag of chicken, because I had 2 pots going, I had 2 Instant Pots going, and I was trying to figure out a way that you could cook it with just rice or just beans, because so many people don't want to make both, they don't like beans. And it like, I would cook it, and I'd put it in like with just the rice or just the beans, and for the same exact cook time, but the rice and beans wouldn't be done. The chicken would be done, but without the rice and beans together, it wasn't done. It made no sense at all. I don't understand it. I did it like a natural release. Like it makes no sense. It confuses the heck out of me. So when people ask, they ask all the time, well, can I do? I'm like, no, you can't do anything with this recipe. I'm sorry, you have to, right? Like you have to do it as it's written. All right, so that is done. And then we're gonna wait for that. Let's do the glaze now. It's probably easiest to do the glaze now. just something to make it extra moist, I guess. It doesn't have it, I guess it does. I mean, it has a decent amount of flavor. You don't use a ton of it though. If you're making it for dinner though, instead of meal prep, it looks a little bit fancy when you put a plate out and then you have to drizzle glaze over it. Needs a 1/4 cup of water. It's way too much water. Teaspoon of vinegar. So you're all gonna laugh at my vinegar, but I don't use it very much, and so I have this huge one from Costco. I was like, I'm not putting that on the counter, but I'll show them when I use it. Teaspoon. I wish they sold little bottles. All that for a teaspoon of vinegar. Tablespoon of honey. I had that over with my other recipe, and I kept telling myself, don't forget, you're gonna have to go grab it. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of ginger. And, oh, that's a little bit much. That I have, I think I thought I grabbed out the fresh. I'm using the fresh for that because it's so nice to have it in your fridge and it stays good forever. My neighbor called the other day and said she was super sick. She's like, I need ginger and mine went bad. And I was like, oh, I have one of those squeeze bottles. She's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm sick and I don't care and I just want ginger for my tea. I was like, okay. But she was all excited when she saw it. I'm like, I know, it's so nice. My honey bottle is all sticky because of my boys. Like I need extras of everything, like they do on cooking shows when you have like 10 things of teaspoons, and I just want to have that so that I don't have to like wash everything and rinse it. I just want to have all those extra cooking supplies. 1/2 teaspoon. I should have sprayed that. That's okay. Live and learn. Oh, see, and I didn't even follow my own recipe. It says let it come to a boil and then pour in the vinegar. I think I put it in. There's different ways. I know there's a reason to do it. I just put it all in. I think that's fine. So we'll watch that. And then we can start with the breakfast fried rice. I think might be a good one to do next. Breakfast fried rice. So we have a ton of meat to cut. So between the bacon and the sausage, and I'm not using ham. And I found that so we were looking for a good chicken sausage. We don't have very many here that aren't cooked already, and so I just use the pre-cooked ones, and I get the Adele, I don't know how to say it, but they have the chicken and apple, and it's really good. I don't know, just because I feel like it gives it a little bit of sweetness. I don't use the coconut sugar in this recipe. I don't think think that we need it, especially when you're using apple sausage. So I just slice these, and then I actually go through and cut them up a little bit more because these are kind of big. We've used, though, like in a pinch, I've used all sorts of sausage, usually chicken sausage, and so I've done the Italian one, we have a really good one that has basil in it now at our Costco, and so I've used that one. It's like basil and cracked pepper, but I like to use these ones, and they sell them at Costco, and they keep really easy in the freezer, so I just always have some. And like I said, I don't use ham, we just do bacon. And then I think my recipe says turkey bacon. And I am totally on the fence about turkey bacon because it's so processed. There's one brand that I found that wasn't like crazy processed, and there's a few brands that don't have nitrates. But they're not easy to find around here, and so I like to get a product that I can rely on going to like my main stores that I go to. So Costco or Fry's or Safeway. And the only place that I can find the unprocessed turkey bacon is at Target, which is fine, but I only go to Target like, I don't know, once every few months. So I usually get the nitrate-free center cut regular bacon. Except I swear that they're starting to have more, it has more fat in it than usual. Like it used to be, my dogs are sitting outside the door because I know that when I do this, it rolls everywhere. I feel like it has a lot more fat, and so there are times, depending on what I'm making, that I will trim all the fat off of bacon before, not all of it, most of it. Like when you have like a piece at the end that's that much fat, that's what I'll cut off. And it stinks because, I mean, you're paying for that, but I hate having all that extra, like it's just, I'm like, it's just fat. Like it's not even like good bacon. So those are my reasonings behind the meats that I use in my breakfast fried rice. So this is really good for camping. Like to make a batch before you go, and then just to have it in the morning and heat it up. I swear it gets better the day after. We use it for breakfast tacos or breakfast burritos. I'll make it for dinner because it's so easy and I have everything in the freezer. So I'll make it for dinner a lot on the nights that I just want to be super lazy and I don't feel like cooking like a big meal. And then it's something that you can have for a couple days because it makes a decent amount. I actually usually add a bunch of eggs to the recipe, and I add a bunch of I think I said that before, like I totally don't cook everything the same way twice, and so I'll add eggs to the recipe, I'll add rice to the recipe. I think I have, I don't know, like double the rice. But I'm not going to put in double the other stuff because what I do is, the boys like having double the rice. I do like half cauliflower, and so I'll let them have their extra rice, but then I have like cauliflower rice that I'll thaw out and put underneath my fried rice, so I have both. So it doesn't bother me at all. That's a way to make the guys happy, but still not be eating a ton of carbs, especially starting your day with them. All right, this is boiling. that there, actually. All right. I try to cut it in smaller pieces, just so that you don't, I don't know, I don't like eating things, I don't like salad, like I don't like eating things that I can't easily eat in like one bite. And so I don't want to have to use a knife and a fork to eat breakfast fried rice. And so I always cut the bacon fairly small. And I cut the sausage into fourths. So I slice it and then I cut it into fourths. Bacon. And the rice isn't super, I made it before I got on, and so I don't think I'm gonna really heat that for a ton of time. I'm just gonna start with the eggs and then I'll add everything else in. That glaze smells really good. I can smell it from just when I leaned over the stove. It smells really good. Oh, and the green onion, I just use regular onion. So I totally switched that recipe up too a little bit. So, and this doesn't call for ginger, but I put ginger in it. Not a lot, just a little bit. Did I put that away? No. Like a teaspoon maybe? And then dry mustard. Frozen onions, I'm doing frozen peas and carrots, frozen, because it is so easy, and once you start buying them, you're not going to go back to just cutting the vegetables. Especially on meal prep days, I feel like that can save a decent amount of time. I did 5 eggs. Just 'cause I feel like it's better. There's protein in it, more protein in it. So I'm gonna do half the bag of green pepper. I figured out that I feel like it's 2 peppers in every bag is what I think for the bagged veggies, for the bagged peppers. And then like a half cup of the onions. And then 1 cup of the peas and carrots. I usually stick a little bit more in. I'm just gonna put in half the bag. And then you just have to cook the eggs on the side while they melt a little, or while they melt a little bit, while they cook a little bit. Cook time still 25 minutes if you don't put the rice in the pot. For the meatballs, yes. I remember making a note about it. Hold on, let me look. Because I remember making a note when I wrote the recipe. Yes, still 25 minutes. So the only reason I'm not dumping all this in here is because I want to move the veggies out a little bit so that they can thaw out. So I'll give it a few minutes for them to cook before I dump the meat in. I need more counter space. I need a bigger kitchen. So 1/4 cup tamari. We sometimes end up adding a little bit more at the end because it's good. So what I try to do is if I'm going to use more than this, that's when I'll switch to the coconut aminos because they don't have as much sodium in it, and it's just a better choice. But it's not nearly as even as tamari. Mighty garlic, pepper. Okay, so just this and then the meat is what we need to add now. All my carrots and celery are over here. I have literally taken every single available space on my counter. My husband walked in and he was like, "Can I pick this up for you?" I'm like, "Stop, don't touch it. I need this. I need it all right here." And I have a love-hate relationship with my pans because every time I cook eggs, they stick. And it drives me crazy. I spray it, it doesn't seem to matter. Unless it's an omelet. If I put the eggs in and I don't touch them, it's fine, they don't stick. I can flip the omelet over and we're good. But like scrambled eggs, every single time. We even called them and asked the company. And she was like, yeah, you need to spray it. We're like, we are. She's like, yeah, they stick sometimes. I was like, oh, thank you, okay. At least it's not just us. I'm anxious to see how the rice turns out on the, with the silicone trivet on top of it. We'll see, I hope it doesn't like smash it down and get stuck but when I used that trivet that was almost like a bowl on the bottom, I swear it interfered with the cook time, and so I don't use it anymore unless that's the only thing in the pot. Like veggies, I'll put that in. But if I'm stacking anything, I don't put that. Alright, the eggs are almost done. So I'm just going to mix it all together so they can cook a little further apart. And then I'll stick in the seasonings and the meat and then the rice. And this is like super full skillet. I almost need a bigger one, but I have nowhere to put it, so this is it. And then this is usually the one that I make the turkey taco skillet in, and so as I'm pulling all my stuff out, I was like, oh no, I need another one or I'm gonna have to wash it. And so I grabbed another one. I think it'll work, I think it'll be fine, but we'll see. We'll learn quickly if it doesn't. I'll have to clean this other one and then stick it in. I'm actually gonna pour the seasonings in now, because I'd rather them adhere to the veggies and the eggs. Holy garlic. Maybe I should just put half of it. I think it's okay though. I'll put some rice in and soak it up. See, nothing's where it's supposed to be. Much better. And it seems really watery, I think, at first, but it evens out, like, especially if you put it in the fridge overnight, it totally evens out. But we make it and we eat it that night all the time. But all that liquid is totally soaked up within a little while. So I'll usually stick the rice on here and then just put the top on and leave it for a little while, and it all absorbs really well. And you don't even really need a top, you can just stick it. And so I told you we like double the rice in here because I always end up adding cauliflower to mine. So your skillet might not be quite as full. I'm gonna see if I can get my husband to try it with cauliflower this time. I don't know if he'll be open to it or not, but. It's 11 minutes left on the meatballs. Hi Margie, how are you? Margie is always cooking. She's always in the kitchen cooking something amazing. And she is religiously the first person to make any of the recipes that I put out, sometimes within hours. Margie, I think the other day, I was telling my husband, I was like, she made it already. And I want to say it was like 6 hours after I had published, maybe. I picture your kitchen as this huge, beautiful area with tons of stuff, like tons of space, and huge pantries, because you have to be able to have all those things on hand. Like, I feel like you always have everything in the pantry to make the recipes, and so I'm always so jealous. But I picture you like walking into your pantry like, where is that? Because I feel like I am not really good at stocking up on the basics all the time. So, all right, so this is done. It's heated. Hold on, let me grab some handles and then I will show you. All right, so like I said, we doubled the rice and everything else was the same. I think it's probably a little bit more poultry sausage. Yeah, so like 3/4 of a cup sausage, and then 3/4 of a cup of ham too, I think, yeah. So I mean, like, that was a lot of sausage. So we just bulk ours up, like we almost double or triple recipe, I guess, for some things, not really for the seasonings, so. But it works for us, so. I am going to put the lid on this for a little while, and I'm gonna swap places for these two, so that we can start the taco skillet. The taco skillet is something that we only had for the first time not too long ago, and I loved, it was a friend's recipe, it's not my recipe. I loved that it was so easy. Like, I ate mine over cauliflower that night. The boys put them in tortillas, and then my husband took it for work the next day and just brought a bowl of it. He didn't bring anything. Sorry, hold on a second. Lucy, no! We have a puppy that is single-handedly destroying our drip system outside how we water the plants. And so, like, we'll go out there and she'll have huge, I'm like looking for my husband because he's gonna be mad, huge lines of this black plastic stuff. And I literally just like saw her pulling it out of the ground. Hey Sabrina, just saw her pulling it out of the ground. Because I think she gets bored out there. And if I let her in here, she's like at my feet the whole time. They sit on this rug in front of the stove, and it's not helpful for cooking. But sorry, I was like, I can't believe we've never seen her do it before. We just go out there and it's all over the place, and it stinks to fix. Okay, so same thing with here with the frozen. Like, I'm doing frozen. I did get a pepper to add because I wanted to. My husband likes green pepper and I like red pepper, and we always argue about that a little bit. So I got the frozen green pepper. They didn't have any frozen red pepper, but I'm just washing it, sorry. I thought that I could have both, and then it just makes it look a little bit more colorful. It's pretty. This is my meat cutting. Meatballs have 6 minutes left. I think this silicone really adds on to your cook time. That's what I've noticed, at least with my pot. I swear, and we talk about this all the time, that like different pots do different things, different people's pots, because sometimes it's like, it's not an elevation thing, it's not, I mean, it's not like there's no reason for something to not work. But even among friends, I'll be like, I tried that and it didn't cook the same. So I swear that each pot is different. And so I've totally tried to look into like, does it matter what the temperature of your house is when you start your pot? Does it matter if, you know, you preheat your pot? There's so many different, but so I think that the 25-minute cook time, I feel like that's a little bit long. And I think it's because of the silicone. But it is nice. I don't care how long it takes. If I can put it in there and walk away, I'm good. I don't care how long it takes to cook. All right, so a little bit of red onion. And then I'm gonna spray this and eat it. I need some more spray. Hold on just a second. I feel like I had another one of those. Maybe I didn't. All right, we're just gonna make this work. We're gonna make this really work for a little bit longer. All right. So we have our pepper, onion. So like I said before, like I adjust all the recipes. I'm the worst person when it comes to that because I totally understand what it's like to see a recipe online and tweak it, but then if somebody does that with my recipe and they come back and they say, well, it didn't work, it's so hard to not just say, well, you didn't make my recipe, you changed it. Like, I'm fully aware of the fact that I'm changing this recipe, this one's not mine. But cooking is so much different than baking, and I feel like with cooking is so forgiving. And so like I'm gonna add extra this and extra that and leave that out. And it's just gonna make the final product taste different. It's not gonna mess with the texture or anything like that. So I don't feel bad about it. But this, as written, is a really good recipe because we totally did it the first time we made it as written. But sorry, I'm looking for my can opener. I just like to bulk it up with some extra veggies. The other day we made it without corn. I didn't have any corn in the fridge or in the freezer. And so, but it was still so good. And it was so nice that you could do all those different things with it. Corn. So, 1 onion, 1 green pepper, turkey, 1 cup black beans. I know this is a cup of black beans because I separated it the other day and froze it. 1 cup of corn. And again, I use the frozen one. Plus, when you open up a can, you have to do something with the other half. That's why I froze the beans the other day when I made this. So I'm all about, you can't tell, frozen veggies. It's totally new to me because I had never used frozen veggies before until a couple months ago. All right, and then spices. So I'm gonna do the onion and pepper in here. And give that a minute. I did remember the other night with that, I felt like the taco skillet needed more spice, so I'm just gonna double the spices in there. I remembered as I put in the last spice that we needed. All right, I'm gonna stick my pepper in. Stick the rest of our turkey. So this one's definitely taken a little bit longer than the other ones. It's 2:15-ish. I did start a little bit late, but I think the first one took us 45 minutes. So it does, I mean, it's time consuming, but you save time during the week too, because all your stuff is done and ready. And all right. See how our rice came out. Oh, the rice looks actually really good. Where I put my other oven mitt. These always have a little bit of moisture on them when they come out. It makes me so happy that they're so easy and you put them in the little molds and they're not cooked and then they come out and they're like little meatballs. Alright, little oval shaped meatballs. There's a lot of liquid in each of the cups, and so I always keep them in there for a few minutes and just figured if they can absorb anything else, then that's awesome. And then I was going to, let me mix the meat quick and then we can put that glaze on them. There's just a tiny bit of it in there, so I don't know how to, the easiest way. I usually just dump it. You know, it kind of reminds me of is that, the pot sticker sauce. Have you ever had that when you order pot stickers in a restaurant? Or like gyoza? And it comes with that. It's super salty. It's really good. So, but it's not like unhealthy salty. I just think it's more than my usual recipes. It's so interesting. There's a couple of them that are like There's a lot of liquid in them. And then there's a couple that there's really not much. That one has a lot. Pull it out. All right, so I'll just let them sit for a minute and cool. And then we can just pull out single servings of it whenever we want. So it kind of stuck to my shirt. Hold on. Find my gloves and show you. It worked. It totally worked. It just stuck a little bit. But no different than the rice in here that I made the other day, or before I got on for the breakfast fried rice. I don't know that it really stuck any more or less than that. It just happened to have something else to stick on besides the bottom of the pot. And it sticks. Brown rice always sticks on the bottom of the pot. And you saw I sprayed it. I don't think it matters what you do. It's just always going to stick on the bottom of the pot. But it's not horrible. Like, it's not a ton. All right, this is almost done. I'm going to put the seasonings in here now. So they can cook with the, sorry, it's like that big pile of dishes in the sink. Like I said last week, I needed a sous chef that will come in here and clean my stuff for me and take all my garbage and dirty dishes away. All right, so like I said, I'll probably do, to be honest, if I'm doing these for lunches, I'll eat raw veggies with them because I prefer raw veggies, especially when I'm working during the day, because I don't usually eat lunch away from my desk. So interesting. So this mold has so much more liquid. This was the one that was on top. I don't know that if I haven't noticed it before or if it's different, but I've never noticed that it does that. I feel like they've always cooked fairly similarly, but. All right, so I'll be the first to admit that these are not the prettiest, but they're so easy to make, but they're not pretty at all, especially not like the pictures. So teriyaki meatballs and brown rice and cooked in the same pot, which was really nice to do that. I'm going to stick this over here so it can cool before I put it in the fridge. And then this is almost done. So these are diced tomatoes with green chili, because I could not find jalapenos, which made me laugh because we're like the state of jalapenos. That's all we eat is them. But I just figured that I'll add fresh jalapenos later. And then black beans, and the corn. This is definitely much prettier than the teriyaki meatballs. So there's ways, very easy ways that you can make all of this stuff not healthier, because it's fairly healthy, but healthier for the different people that are in the house. And so like the fried rice, like I doubled everything, but I'm gonna eat that, my portion, with cauliflower rice, like on the bottom, and then I'll put brown rice on top. And then the teriyaki meatballs, I'm gonna grab a little bit of brown rice, but I'm gonna have like a ton of veggies with it, and I'm probably gonna use cauliflower rice for that too. I get it at Costco, and it comes in bags, and it's just really easy to cook, and then I usually have one bag between lunch and dinner. And then this, like I said, is super easy. You know, if you want it in a tortilla, or if the rest of your family wants it in a tortilla or a taco, and you want to use cauliflower rice, then you can do that. You can use other veggies for sure. I like cauliflower rice because it's always there. It's always in the freezer. It's really easy to use, and it has no flavor, so it adapts to any flavor that you add to it. So I'm gonna let some of the liquid cook off from this. So there's a little bit in there from the ground turkey, and then that can of Rotel, I probably should have strained out the water, but I didn't, or the liquid. So I'm just gonna let that cook for a few minutes. But that's done. That's like a super fast recipe. It was so nice the other night when I came home. I didn't feel like doing anything, and I looked and I had everything in my between the cabinet, the pantry, and the freezer. I had everything, so it was really nice to just pull everything out of the kitchen and have like a decent dinner, not something that, I don't know, lacked veggies or wasn't good. All right, I'm gonna move this. Because now we need room for the cookies that we're gonna make, because they're delicious, so good, and healthy. I saw Girl Scouts this morning, and I realized that I haven't had a Girl Scout cookie this year, which I'm okay with. But when I made these the other day, I was so excited because they tasted like the Samoas that have the caramel in them, and they have no caramel in them. But there's a taste there, and they totally taste like it. It's so nice. So I was gonna make, I was thinking about doubling the batch of this, because we have company coming tonight. All right, so food processor. I think food processor and Instant Pot are the two most loved kitchen gadgets for meal prep. All right, so these came from the same blog that the turkey taco skillet came from, which is my friend Nancy Lynn, who I think next to my own recipes, I make hers the most, because they're things that we would normally eat, or things that we would like to eat and just had never even, like the turkey taco skillet, like that's so good, but I had never even thought to dump all that stuff together in a skillet. So I use her blog more than anybody's, I think. I'm gonna double this, and I actually need to steal the charger from here, because my iPad is dying with my recipes on it. So this one, like I said, does require a couple of ingredients that you might not have, but it's totally worth it, I think. I totally think it's worth it. And the stuff lasts forever. So like the shredded coconut, unsweetened shredded coconut, and then coconut flour you just use a tablespoon of. So like the whole bag lasts forever. And I got the bag at Sprouts, I think. And I think I paid, I think it was like $5 or $6 for the bag. All right, coconut and coconut flour. So I'm gonna double it. I don't think I've doubled this recipe before, so we'll try it. This is boiling a little bit. Hold on a second. So I'm just going to turn it off. And then I'll strain out any extra liquid. Most of it went away there. That one's actually super hot, so I'm going to wait a minute before I show you. And I need my measuring cups. They're at the bottom. This is real life. Is this not real life? I hope you didn't come expecting like this fancy cooking show, because I'm not fancy cooking show material. I am super real. This is me in my kitchen needing more measuring cups. We're just gonna use this one because we're gonna need 3 cups of it. So we're gonna use the 3rd. Actually, before I even do that, I know what I should do. I should not put it all in the food processor at once. That's what I should not do. All right. So that's 1 cup. Two cups. Three cups. And then it calls for 1 tablespoon of coconut flour, and I do need more measuring spoons. That's all on me. And there's really no substituting measuring spoons. Okay, 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. And it just said to pulse these 2 together. We did it the other way last time, but doubling it makes it a little bit different. So this, the very first time I made this recipe, I did not put it in the food processor for long enough. So it's gotta be like super, super fine, because otherwise it doesn't stick. The cookies don't form, and so you end up eating it with a fork, which is still super delicious, especially on ice cream. But like having this blend, that's why you really need a food processor for this. You could probably use a Vitamix, but I feel like you only get small amounts with that because it doesn't cycle through very well. the summer when my coconut oil is not hard because it's a pain to get out. All right. I feel like that's good. Maybe this is the rest. Real life friends, I just got an entire glob of honey on my counter. I think at cooking shows they have like people that take the food processor in the back so it's nice and quiet, and then it just magically comes out and it's food processed. Or they probably do it all ahead of time, and so they say, "Oh, I ran the food processor," and that's okay. We're real. And then vanilla. Vanilla that I can never open. Okay. I'm gonna need them again in a minute. That's the funny part. I just put them in there, but I'm gonna need them because it has homemade chocolate that you make. All right, honey disaster is cleaned up, which is better than the onion powder disaster of last week, right? You have to admit that, because that was a mess. I feel like this could still be, I'm gonna put it on for a couple minutes. They're all greased. Okay, that's better for sure. I feel like it starts to stick to the edges when it starts to get done. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's so hard with this. But it starts to stick and get a little bit soft. So we're just going to slowly add in all of these ingredients. especially if you're doubling it, you're gonna have to stop and scrape it a few times. So I told you these are not like the easiest cookies to put together. They're not like mix the mix and then put them in the oven, but they're so worth it. Like all of the vanilla stuck there. Pull it out from the sides one more time. And then I'll do it a little more. As thin as it's gonna get, or as mixed as it's gonna get. And I just remembered I forgot to set the ovens, 350. And then, let me show you. So it's just super fine, and you literally just push it down into the I use a mini muffin tin. I think that's the easiest. And I think and she uses silicone for hers, which is absolutely fine, but I used silicone the first time I made them when I didn't mix them enough, and it was such a nightmare to get them out because they were just broken. And then I feel like like if they were solid, the silicone would have been fine, but now I have like a fear of using the silicone, so we're just gonna stick with these. And I made them in cute little pineapple ones. So you can imagine trying to get those out. It was not pretty. And so these ones, these are the perfect size. So you're supposed to freeze these. And I know that freezer space is really hard to come by, especially in this house. Last time I tried it with the refrigerator, but today I have like no fridge space. And so I'm gonna put them in the freezer. But if you need to put them in the fridge instead of the freezer, you can. The only thing is that with the homemade chocolate, the coconut oil, ours starts to melt a little bit, even in the fridge. So they might get a little drippy, but I mean, they still taste fine. They just don't look as beautiful. So don't make these the day before something thinking that they're gonna be just as beautiful the next day. They're not, but it's real food. So I don't know, how often does that really happen? When you can eat something that's healthy and have it be beautiful for days in a row. It's not. I did not cut, or I didn't wash and peel carrots and celery this week. I'm going to, but I just knew that, you know, when we're going to be on for a little bit longer every week, it's probably not beneficial to have you sit there and watch me cut up carrots. And I knew that there was not going to be a lot of downtime between the recipes, like, you know, as we were waiting for one to cook, and so I didn't do that, but they're literally right there. So I was like, well, if I end up having time, I can do it, but I did not. But I will do it for the week for sure, because we eat That's the only thing. Like if I'm hungry before dinner, usually I will grab a bag of chips and start eating. But if I have the carrots and celery sitting there, I'll totally eat it. And I'll snack on those. And I think you really can't overeat veggies. I won't say that in some of my Facebook groups, but I think it's especially like celery, carrots. I think yeah, you can totally overeat carrots. But so this is killing me. There's like 2 left, but I can't. I can make each of these a little bit bigger, I guess. Like I can't just throw away a little bit of it. So this just goes into the oven for 7 minutes. And then you make the chocolate. And then you freeze them. Ready? Am I ready? Yes, after they're done. I'm like, I know I remember putting these in the freezer. I am not somebody that memorizes very many recipes. So I read it and I do it and then I go on to something else. So I don't even memorize my own. Like if somebody asks a question about one of mine, I always have to go back and look to see what I wrote. Because I do not memorize well. All right. It is not a successful meal prep unless you have a sink full of dishes and a filthy kitchen. That's what I've decided. Especially this one, because usually I just clean up as I go. But on video, I trash everything that you can't see, and then I worry about it later. All right, so 7 minutes. This is super close to preheated, so I'm doing it. I'm actually just going to put them in for 5 and then check it. And we'll see. You can probably start putting stuff in containers. Oh, I didn't show you guys this. Let me stir it, because once something sits for a couple minutes, it doesn't look pretty. Not that ground turkey ever really looks pretty, but. All right, so it's just like a Mexican anything, taco filling. You can eat it by itself, put it in a burrito. It's actually not too hot. My husband's outside using the leaf blower, and my oldest dog is about to lose his mind. And so he's sitting here knocking on the back door, very patiently, very quietly, but he's afraid. And so for a lot of this stuff, I used, I actually think, so the only things that I cut today were the extra pepper that I put in the taco skillet. I can hear my husband coming around with a leaf blower. And I hope you can't hear it. And the green onions for the meatballs. They're the only things that I used fresh. And so, you know, even yesterday when we had that storm, I started looking through and I was like, you know, I bet I have everything in there to do the meal prep without going to the store. And it would have been a stretch for sure, but I totally think I could have done it. I only had a little bit of black beans left, so, but no, I would have been able to use that. I think I would have been able to do it. I just got a few things from the store. It wasn't a lot. And so, you even if, and these are healthy meals, and you know, they have veggies in them, and some carbs, but they have veggies in them, and I really think that so many people think, oh, I have to go load up, you know, with groceries, and I have to do this, but I mean, 89 or 88 cents for a bag of veggies was awesome. And I am all for using stuff that is in your freezer and pantry, especially when you live 20 minutes outside of town. And they have snowstorms. Okay. So that's that. See what I need to keep out. Because it's driving me crazy having everything right here in my way. All right, so I think these are 3 cups. Yeah, I think these are 3 cups. So this made about, I'd say 4.5 or 5 cups of that veggie skillet. So I'm going to do the same thing with the fried rice and just portion it out. We're making carnitas tonight on a discata. My husband made a discata, which is like it's like a big wok that you cook Mexican food on, and it has like a gas burner underneath it, so the wok is on top and then a big gas. So he's gonna be excited because I made fried rice, and so I think he's gonna struggle with, do I want to wait for carne asada, or do I want fried rice? We found this really good recipe, and it uses smoked paprika, which is my new favorite ingredient because it's amazing, and it is 100% different than regular paprika. And so this marinade smells so good. We're so excited. We did it last night. I'll have to post a picture because my husband makes it look super pretty when he cooks on the discata. So it's like all the food's in the middle, and then he puts all the tortillas around the outside. It's very fancy for us because we are not fancy people. Yeah, so these cook really fast in my oven, and I'm not sure why. But that's why I just put them in for I put them in for 5 minutes to see, and the outside is already brown. So I'm gonna pull them out, and they can just sit for a minute while we finish this. And I need to wash my pot because I don't think I have another one to make the chocolate. It's so satisfying to put them all in the containers and then to put all the containers in the fridge. And I wish that I had like these beautiful little single serving ones that could stack, but I don't. All right. So now I need new measuring cups and measuring spoons and saucepans. I knew it was gonna stretch what I had in my kitchen to try to do 3 or 4 meals at the same time without washing them. So next week is going to be, I have to like borrow neighbors' pots and pans. Okay. So now we're going to make the chocolate that goes on top of the macaroon cookies. My son makes them. He does this part for me, and so I never do them. I tried it once, and I totally messed it up. I don't know what I did wrong. But he makes it, and he does awesome. Milk, coconut oil, and maple syrup, and cocoa powder. Okay. 3 tablespoons coconut oil, but we're doubling it, so we're going to do 6. Right. I somehow had coconut on my hand. I'm afraid that I'm going to break my measuring spoons in the coconut oil. 1. So every Sunday we have like a workout party almost. We have friends that come over, 2 other families, but up to 4 other families, and we work out and then we cook food. And so we started it a couple years ago when, because the CrossFit has an open, which is like their worldwide games, and they release new workouts every week. And so we were like, oh, we should do the CrossFit workouts, you know, as they were released. And so they were released on a Thursday, and then everybody would come over on Sunday and do the workout, and then we'd eat afterwards. And this was in, I think, 2016 or 2017. And so we do it every Sunday. Every Friday we get together and work out and eat, and then every Sunday we get together and work out and eat. And the eating probably, undoes the working out, but that's okay. But this week, our friend was like, we have something going on that we had to plan for Sunday. Can we do it on Saturday? I was like, well, yeah, but I have to meal prep, and so I might not be done until I can hear everybody coming. And so if my husband doesn't catch them, they're gonna come in, but he should get them. So maple syrup, I did not get out maple syrup, hold on. All right, 3 tablespoons, so 6 tablespoons because we're doubling it. Actually, I'm gonna wait for this to melt a little bit more. And then cocoa powder. And then you just whisk them together, and then you pour it on top of the macarons, and then you freeze them. And they are so good. I do like them a little bit better when they're thicker and spread out instead of the mini muffin pans that are kind of, because then they're thicker. Not thicker and spread out, I mean like when you pour them and they're wider. Because, I don't know, like it binds up a little bit in the center when you do thick ones like this, but it's still totally good. The best cookie that I've had, I think. And there's no flour or anything, it's coconut. A lot of coconut. So if you don't like coconut, these are not for you. Honey, maple syrup. All right, 6. And then I'm gonna try to get all the syrup and stuff off without getting it wet. I don't think that's gonna happen though, because now it's cocoa powder. It's just gonna stick. I should have made my son come out and do it, because he rocks at the chocolate on top of these. I'm very nervous about this not working because, like I said, the last time I did it, it didn't work. I think I burned it. I think I did it too hot. So I'm gonna wait a minute for this to cool. Cause it was like super runny, and then I tried to add a little bit more cocoa powder to thicken it up, and I think it was too far gone. And so worst case, I just melted some dairy-free chocolate chips, and because they didn't have any regular ones, but you could totally just melt chocolate and put it on it. I just really like the idea of being able to make your own with coconut oil and maple syrup and cocoa powder. Trying to let it cool. Patience is not my best virtue. All right, so this, I doubled it, remember. So a single batch would have made 12 in the small mini muffin pan. This looks much more promising than it did last time when I did this. Right. It still needs a lot more chocolate though, according to the recipe. My dogs are so sad. They're so sad. See, I told you, that Muppet, whoever that Muppet is, that's totally who I feel like when I do these. I'm not the cleanest cook. I clean the heck out of my kitchen when I'm done, but I make a huge mess while I'm doing it. Alright, hold on. Let me wash off my chocolate hands. That's a good bet to make. What is Becca gonna spill next week during her Facebook Live when she does meal prep with us? First it was onion powder. Now it's chocolate. Alright, this is starting to get thick, for sure. But I'm still not even at what the recipe said to put in. So I'm just gonna add that. And then it said in there, like in the instructions, it said, if it's too thin, put some more cocoa powder. If it's too thick, I think it said to put more coconut oil. And you really don't need a whole lot. It's just to cover the tops of these. When my son made them last, he made them like Reese's peanut butter cups where he just poured it in and the cookie was like floating and the chocolate was all around it. It's like, I don't think this is what she meant. He's like, but it's really good, isn't it? Yeah, you totally win for that, but. All right, I think this is gonna be perfect with just what the recipe called for. I think that's exactly where I messed it up last time. It was that remove from heat part. I did not remove it from heat. So I'm just going to use a regular spoon. This is a little bit hotter than the last one when I did this one. And then I'm going to stick these in the freezer. probably good that these take so long to make, because otherwise I feel like I'd make them every day and eat them every day. All right, so make sure that when you are prepping, that you're not prepping too much, that you think about why you had less leftovers or more leftovers than you wanted to for the week. We had more. I still have some of the hamburger helper that we made last week, but it was because I made a recipe during the week that had it made a ton, and I was testing a recipe, and so I ended up having that for lunch one day and not having the hamburger helper, and then my husband did the same thing. He had that instead. So, totally our fault. And I froze it, so like we're good. We can have it some other time. We're going on vacation in a couple weeks, so it'd be perfect that we can have that when we get back. We'll have that night. But putting it in the freezer, and so I always meal prep stuff. I don't love salads, but I would never meal prep a salad because I feel like if I don't eat that in time, I can't save it. Like I can't put it in the freezer. I can't really do anything to save it. So I do not meal prep salads or anything. I don't know, anything like a fragile recipe. So like cloud bread, I love cloud bread, but there's no way that I would meal prep that because it's not going to keep. And then if I don't eat it, I can't freeze it. All right. So I don't want to tip them because they have chocolate all over them. But, oh, it actually has stuck pretty well. So I'm going to stick them in the freezer. And then they come right out of this pan. So I never struggle getting these out. I just get chocolate out of the freezer. All right, so just under 2 hours is what this took us. And I did a lot of purchased snacks this week instead of ones that were made. And so that was a dessert. But we didn't do the protein balls. We didn't do the sausage mushrooms. We just, if I know that I'm going to be prepping more than just a couple meals, I will cut back on the recipes that I make. So this week for snacks, we're going to have celery and carrots. We're going to have apples and bananas. We're going to have, I'm trying to think what else I put in there. Nuts. We have them every week. So those are the things that I'm going to prep just for the snacks. But 2 hours for 1, 2, 3 full meals plus dessert for the week. I feel like that's solid. And now you'll have your breakfast ready. You'll have your lunches ready. Let me know if it works. Let me know if you're still doing it or if you bowed out after last week and just watched the video just because. Because I want to know what works for everybody. I found that people who do this, the first week, second week, third week, this is usually the time that they're like, I think I'm good. Like that's a lot of food and dinner plans change every night. So next week I'm going to keep in mind the fact that this took us 2 hours and people do not want to be in their kitchen all day. Next week I am going to cut up the carrots and celery. I'm probably going to cut up some cucumbers as well. I still have bagged nuts from last week because we didn't eat them all, so I'm not going to bag any more nuts. But just keep in mind, how long, it'll probably take me another 30 minutes to do the veggies later. But so that's 2.5 hours. It's still not bad for everything but your dinner for the week. So, all right, well, I will see you guys next week. If you have any questions, let me know. And if you have any questions about the recipe too, let me know. I'll talk to you later. Happy Saturday.